Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you're looking for jewelry that makes an impact on your self-care routine and your style, Empowerography would love to offer you a discount code to one of our exclusive partners, Quartz and Canary Jewelry and Wellness Company. Please use code EMPOWER15 to receive 15% off upon checkout at www.quartzandcanary.com. Quartz and Canary is truly the place where spirituality meets style. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Courtney Gedeon. She is a mental health advocate and the founder of the Real Housewife of York Region. How are you doing this morning, Courtney?
I'm doing great, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and share a bit about your story and your journey with us. And I appreciate you being part of the Empowerography community.
Well, it's quite the community that you have built. So, well done to you, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's jump right in. So, Courtney, you're a wife, a mother, a stepmother, business owner, master student, and mental health advocate. That's quite the resume. Where do you find the time to wear all these hats and play all these roles?
Well, life is certainly busy. There's no question about that. And I think for mothers of young kids who are trying to do anything else other than being a mom, it's a juggle. Mm-hmm. But part of those titles you mentioned, they're really who I am. So the mental health advocate, for example, it's just part of who I am. So I don't necessarily have to book a time for that in my calendar.
Right.
But, I do schedule my time properly. That's an important part of doing all of the things I want to do. I'm not always perfect at that, but I do my best at trying to create space for everything. And I also have my mom who really helps me out. And I couldn't do any of this without her.
That's great to have that help for sure.
Yes.
So speaking of playing roles, you had said your dream was to become an actress and you were on your way to achieving that dream. You were signed by an agency and everything. What happened with your actress dream? How long were you involved in the world of acting and why did you decide to get out of that world?
Well, it's interesting because I would say at my core, I do feel that I did achieve that dream. I don't feel I was on the way. I feel that, in my heart, it did happen. And I guess that's why I could, exit that world with such peace because I felt like I did do what I wanted to do there. Mm-hmm. Now, I still am involved in it, but it's not professionally. It's more with a local community group where I still get to express myself creatively,
right?
Without worrying how I'm going to pay the bills.
Yes.
But how it all started is actually a kind of an interesting story and the evolution. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because speaking of my mom, it really began with her.
Okay.
And she was a makeup artist on the Elephant Show. Do you remember that show?
I don't, actually.
Sharon Lewis and Bram, Skidamarinky.
Oh, yes. There we go.
Yes. So I was actually on that show when I was a kid.
Okay.
Probably because my mom was the makeup artist, realistically. But anyway.
It was your start.
Yeah. But there was a specific moment for me that I remember, and it struck me and it stayed with me. And my mom at times would bring me to work because my dad was also working and there was no other options at that point. So I remember hanging out backstage. I think it was during a live concert with Sharon Lewis and Bram and watching the show from the wings, which thrilled the crap out of me as a young kid. And then after one of the shows, and I think it was at the O'Keefe Center, which is now the Sony Center.
Yes.
I remember being backstage and the lights were still up and the theater was empty. And I just mindlessly walked onto the stage. And I remember looking out with the lights still shining bright. And I had a moment. And it kind of felt like time had stopped. Okay. And in my mind and heart, I knew that on the stage, was where I wanted to be. So that was, the first kind of, the thing that hit me. But let's fast forward 15 years now, and I'm in my early 20s, and I've graduated from theater school, and we're attending something called Grad Showcase. And so what that is where you audition for the city's agents and casting directors and all that sort of stuff with hopes of getting signed.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what stage we're back on doing this?
The O'Keefe Center, or the Sony Center. That's
right. Exactly. Yeah. And I land one of the best agents in Canada called the Characters Agency.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now living on my own in Yonge and Davisville area.
Yeah.
And I'm landing great gigs and, pursuing the dream. But I'm barely getting by financially.
Okay.
Not really able to maintain a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And starving the shit out of myself because I get better roles when I'm skinny.
Wow.
And thus the mental health issues, begin to rear their ugly heads. Now, this isn't something that happens exclusively here. Like these things the challenges began a little bit before for me.
Yeah.
But the maladaptive thoughts, for example, skinny equals attractive equals lead roles,
mm-hmm.
began to prove correct. So the narrative began to take hold because, I'd get more significant parts when I fit the right measurements.
Wow.
And that was usually me at my 110-pound self. And I'm not meant to be 110 pounds. I'm just, it's not where I'm meant to be. But
right.
I learned quickly that acting, at least the roles that I was up for, is 50% talent and 50% modeling. And I found that really disappointing. That's something that I went into and I thought, damn, that's too bad. Cause I just, spent 4 years like learning Shakespeare, learning my craft.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that if, I don't fit these measurements, forget it.
Yeah.
Right?
If you don't look a certain way, you might as well forget you're not getting the role.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of those roles were the lead roles, the ones that I was really wanting to go for. And so, I mean, ultimately, although I'm at peace with, the industry and
mm-hmm.
exiting it, on the professional level.
Yeah.
I did exit it because I knew at that time in my life that I wasn't my best self in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I had the confidence and the head on my shoulders to recognize that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, while your mental health evolution did not begin and end there, you're a huge advocate for mental health. Why the advocacy for such a cause for you?
Well, I think part of my healing is being an advocate for it.
Okay.
And I think you'll often find people who are advocates of things are people who have battled that specific thing or, are now fighting against it or trying to bring awareness to. So for me, I've had personal struggles with mental health issues at different stages in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't starve myself anymore. I've learned how to manage, myself so that my self-worth is no longer associated with, my look or the number on the scale or something like that. I've also been able to manage my unhealthy or unrealistic expectations of how I think I should look and
mm-hmm.
should being an important point.
Yeah.
Because the word should is what gets us into a lot of trouble.
Right.
And when we're talking about mental health, shoulding ourselves, is basically wishing we were something or someone else, meaning we feel that we're not enough. So it's doing all of this personal investigation and everything that you get to these realizations. But my advocacy makes me feel happy. It makes me feel like I'm working towards helping others, and gives me meaning and purpose. And that ultimately helps me with my mental health. So it's a circle of positivity.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it all starts with the inner work, right? That's where everything begins. I mean, self-love is the foundation for all of it. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Now, how did you overcome or deal with your personal struggles?
Therapy.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of great therapy. And I feel everyone benefits from therapy. And I wish so many people didn't wait until they were at their cracking point before they went, or wait until their relationship was basically over. I feel fairly stable, but I know I have things I still need to work through, and we'll continue to as life goes on. And life throws us curveballs. I mean, COVID has been a huge challenge. I talk about a huge curveball for everybody.
Yeah.
Tell me one person who hasn't felt the effects of this pandemic, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't done this before. We haven't had any experience with it.
No, we're all navigating new waters. It's all brand new to everybody.
Exactly. And the way that people navigate those waters is important information, because I know that more people than ever are seeking therapy to help them through, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, addiction and alcohol sales, have never been higher.
Yeah.
So that tells you that people are struggling to cope. And we get into this a little bit later. We'll get into this with our talk, but when our external environment is out of our control, we have choices on how to deal with that. And the mindset has really helped me with my mental health.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you say these experiences have helped shape the Courtney that you are today?
I think my mental health struggles have been a good learning opportunity for me. So I think, part of our challenge when we experience difficult things is to try to learn from them, so that we don't make the same mistakes again or get stuck in the same patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's a mistake to just try and forget. Everyone, including myself, is going to want to just try and forget 2020 and the beginning of 2021.
Yeah.
But I think we need to take the time to hash out the past and with a therapist if possible, so we can be better armed for our future. And I don't mean armed in a defensive way, but in a wiser and stronger way.
Yeah.
And I think these experiences have shaped me. And doing the work on myself through it all has, I think, made me a better friend, a better mother, a better wife. And just has enabled me with a higher level of empathy rather than being, judgmental.
Yeah.
With others battling the same things that I did.
Well, I mean, burying it doesn't do anybody any good. It's going to bubble up at some point, right? It
really, really is. And, there's so many people who just try to ignore it, dismiss it. But that ultimately, only can go so far. And that ends up shaping who we are as well, right? So,
For sure.
Yeah, it takes a level of courage to be able to tackle that stuff. But, I would encourage people to try to do so, especially after such a hard 2020.
Yeah. And I mean, 2021 has started out the same, and it's pretty bad here in Ontario, as you and I both know, and I really don't see things improving anytime soon with the way the numbers are. And so, I mean, I think we're in for a long ride here. Yeah,
the high of the 2021 New Year's wore off pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned that mental health issues haven't just affected you in your 20s. In fact, you faced some of your biggest challenges in your 30s and after the birth of your daughter. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So, different times in my life, I've been faced with different challenges. And after I had my daughter back in 2017, I experienced pretty extreme postpartum anxiety. I just want to quickly
postpartum anxiety. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Exactly. Neither did I, Brad. And I really wish I had been, just let in on that because, and that's what I want to talk about, because before I had my daughter, I had no idea what it was.
Right.
And I'd heard of postpartum depression or the baby blues, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But nobody, not my doctor, not my midwife, not my doula, nobody spoke to me of postpartum anxiety, and it affects 10% of new moms.
Wow.
So
that's
why they
huge.
didn't mention it, I don't know. Yeah. So to a certain extent, I mean, you're a father. You've seen your wife have her, the babies and everything.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, all new moms feel an increase of anxiety because we have this new completely helpless being
Yes.
depending on us for existence.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was like at your house, but, depending on your home life, a lot of that responsibility of the day-to-day lies with the mom.
Yes, for sure.
And so, like, there are natural worries, what if she gets too cold, the baby, or, that sort of thing. But you can dismiss them to a certain degree because your child is wrapped in warm blankets. So you can rationalize yourself out of these types of thoughts.
Right.
But if your worries are irrational, and when your anxiety overshoots your reality, that's when it becomes a bigger problem. Okay, so for example, a new mom might have a flash of anxiety worrying someone's going to break in, right?
Yeah.
But they can rationalize themselves out of that because the doors are locked, or
right.
Nobody has ever broken in before, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I had such a fear that someone was going to break in that I had a whole exit strategy. And often I would lay in bed sweating, waiting for not if, but when the intruder was going to break in. It was a terrible existence. So eventually I went to my doctor and I began some therapy, and that really helped. But the other thing that made a big difference for me was finding another mom who was going through the same thing. And once I found her, someone I could relate to, I was able to understand that I was not actually going crazy. Because believe it or not, those who have anxiety worry that they're going crazy and that they won't be able to stop or control their anxiety, and which makes them more anxious, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a really awful cycle. So when I found the other mom, I could talk to her openly and honestly and without judgment, and my levels of anxiety just went way down. So, this is an important time in my life because it really opened my mind to the power of mental health on women and the unique things that we go through. And also the stigma associated with it, because I felt quite ashamed and
as most people do, right?
Exactly.
It's a huge part of it.
A huge part of it. And anyways, it's from this part in my life, these experiences and these lessons, where I launched my brand, The Real Housewife of York Region.
Oh, okay. So speaking of which, you founded and began that back in 2019. What was your purpose and goal of the group?
I think my purpose and goal was to connect women who, like me, were suffering from a mood disorder. And it could have been any mood disorder, anxiety, depression, loneliness, isolation, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I wanted to connect others in my community because for me, once I found that one mom who was quietly going through the same torment, I felt better. I knew I couldn't be the only one experiencing these types of issues.
Right.
And, anxiety is the most common mental illness in Canada.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
A couple of quick little stats. Like in any given year, 1 in 5 Canadians will experience depression, right? Never mind the 2020, the year that we just had.
Yeah.
And by the time Canadians reach the age of 40, 1 in 2, so half, will have experienced or will have some kind of mental illness.
That's staggering.
It is staggering, and it doesn't discriminate. You can
it doesn't.
A millionaire and suffer from mental health issues.
That's right.
A sophisticated professional and still have these issues. So my purpose was to join others in helping them in a non-judgmental environment. And doing so, I was hoping to help end the stigma. But I had to be brave and be willing to talk about my shit first.
Yes,
because
of course.
Oftentimes people are worried and feel embarrassed, and they will speak up, but after someone else has, it's a little bit safer then, right?
Yeah, it's like you're getting permission to speak. When someone else stands up and speaks about what they're going through, it's like giving permission to others in the group to get up. Oh, well, this person suffers from, so it's okay for me to talk about it too.
That's right. Exactly. It's just always safer to kind of be in that community versus standing alone on top of that mountain. So, Yeah. So that's why I wanted to start it. And so from there, I began a walking group, and that's called the Real Housewife of York Region Walks for Mental Health.
Very nice. Excellent.
Yeah. So we walk every Thursday at 10 a.m. in my community for about 45 minutes. And it's great because I have women of all ages who join, and I even got the mayor out to walk with me.
Wow,
Okay?
that's great. So how many women do you have as part of the group?
Well, it depends week by week, with everybody's schedules. I'm there, rain or shine, because that's my commitment.
Yeah.
But, sometimes there'll be a group of 10. Sometimes it's been me and one other lady because, just it wasn't working out. But
yeah,
as long as I'm there to help that one person, that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah.
But it was funny because the time that I had the mayor come out, I asked him about his mental health, and I think I surprised him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone has really ever asked him about his mental health before, but being a politician in this kind of political climate, that would be a huge. I couldn't even imagine doing his job, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
now, is your group just focused on women, or do men come out as well?
So right now it is just focused on women. I have thought of opening it up, but I think there's also within the group a little bit of they like the fact that it's all women.
Comfort.
Yeah. So I kind of want to keep it a women's walking group. There's another gentleman in my community who has reached out to say he would like to start kind of the same arm for men in the community.
Okay.
And I think it'd be nice to have the men go out, because once, there's a dynamic. Like once you mix the men and the women, there's a certain dynamic, right?
Yes, for sure.
And we all kind of sometimes feel that we have to go into the roles that society dictates. And I don't want that. I just want it to be as free as possible. So
absolutely. An open, safe space.
That's right. Yeah. And the other thing I do sometimes with the women in my group is I encourage them to bring a non-perishable item that we donate to the Newmarket Food Pantry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And by doing this, they feel that they're contributing to the community. And I know through my own volunteer work that giving back has really positive effects on mental health. And
for sure.
So I want to try to have this experience for the ladies as well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
I love it. I love what you're doing.
Thanks.
So with you being there for these other women and wanting to help women who are dealing with similar situations as yourself, who have you had to turn to, or as a mentor or a role model or an inspiration for the work that you do?
Well, so she's not a formal mentor of mine, but it's someone who she's really inspired me, and who I genuinely admire, and is a lovely lady. And you and I both know her. Her name is Joan Kelly Walker.
Oh yes, Joan is absolutely incredible.
I know.
that woman is such a beautiful soul, and she has such a huge heart.
She really does. Yeah. And she moves me. She's truly been someone that I have watched, and I feel like I've learned so much just by knowing her. And, Joan, I would argue, is one of Canada's leading philanthropists.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. And the work that she does has such amazing effects on our community and the world. Like globally, she's made an impact. And I've been able to see Joan in different environments, and she always carries herself with such grace and dignity and is so wise. And she actually doesn't know that she's had such a huge impact on me. But my direction of, Real Housewife of York Region is partly because I wanted to do good and give back, because I was so moved and inspired by her work.
Yeah.
And she just has made me want to do better and to be better. And, her family have been able to give very, very generously to many organizations. But, sometimes people are able to give money to a cause, and it ends there. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because a lot of these causes wouldn't be here without, people to donate that way. But I've seen Joan on Instagram posts or whatever it may be, with her sleeves rolled up, sorting mittens at a charity.
Yeah, Joan gets right in there for sure.
Right in there, not afraid to get her hands dirty.
No.
And for me, I think that speaks so highly of her character.
For sure. She doesn't just talk the talk. She walks the walk too.
She looks damn good when she's doing it, Brad.
She is one of the kindest, most genuine women I have ever met. She is incredible.
So unbelievably beautiful on the inside and on the out.
Yep.
So yeah, that's somebody who I would say has been a huge part of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, she is an incredible role model and an inspiration for sure. So that's great. Now, with everything going on in the current climate of the world, and I mean, it's very easy to fall into that dark rabbit and head down that dark rabbit hole and be negative about everything. And because I mean, at the beginning of all of this back in March last year, that's all you heard is this is not fair and this is horrible and I don't want to do this. I don't want to deal with it. It's very easy to get caught up in that. But I think that we have to look at the situation to avoid heading down that dark hole and find the silver linings and find the good, because as much shit as there has been to deal with. And I mean, we're all in the same boat here. We're just traveling on different waters, and everybody deals with things differently. But we have to try and find the good in this. And there has been. So for you, can you talk a bit about what you decided to do with your time during this pandemic and how it's helped you?
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely back in March, I was going down that dark place just like everybody else because it was grim. Like it looked really, really grim and it was a huge change. And anyways, I was happy that I started the Real Housewife group before the pandemic. It's funny how that worked. I'm so happy that it worked out that way. But it's all been a bit of an evolution.
Yeah.
Because through that group, I've met some amazing women myself. And I mean, mental health has never been more at the forefront than it is now. And so during the lockdown, I was beginning to create some more mental health awareness tips and videos and content on my Instagram page.
Okay.
And I had a lot of women reaching out to me to find support. Even when I was doing the walks before the lockdown, women were reaching out to me for further support. But I was feeling a little bit limited in how I could help them. And then a friend of mine who I met through the walking group said, you'd be really great at this course I'm doing, which, by the way, is a master's of counseling psychology.
Okay.
And I told her, I've actually been thinking about this for quite a few years. I've been thinking about this for a long time. And she said, stop thinking about it and do it.
Just jump in.
You know what? Yes. Why not? Why not now? If not now, then, this is the best time, really. And so I did. And so now here I am, almost 40 years of age, not yet, but almost, back in school to become a registered psychotherapist so I can help on a deeper level. And it's freaking fascinating.
That's so incredible. I think that's so inspiring.
It's really been a move in the right direction for me. And it's, to be honest with you, having this school, these papers, this research, all of this has really been a lifesaver for me through this pandemic.
I'm sure it's a great distraction, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, good for you for doing it. That's very inspirational. It's very admirable. I think it's amazing. Good for you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you.
So you were also recently recognized in your community as 2020's Person of the Year. You're recognized for your advocacy for mental health and taking a very grassroots approach to helping others. The journalist of the article even said you confirmed her faith in people. Why has this become so important to you personally?
Well, first off, I was so honored to be given this title. I was so shocked and humbled by it, to be honest with you. And there's so many inspirational people in my community, and to be recognized like this really confirms to me that I'm on my right path, and that I'm doing what I feel at my core that I'm meant to do. So I think it's important to me personally because it's my meaning. So helping others, whether it's through my walks or volunteering or eventually my role as a psychotherapist, helping others is ultimately why I feel I'm here. And I don't think it can get more personal than that.
Isn't that incredible, though? I mean, let alone you think about this on a grand scale and think about all the people who never do find their purpose in life or their mission in life. But to be able to find your purpose and your mission, and also double that with the fact that you're giving back and helping people with that mission that you feel is your purpose, there's nothing better. I mean, that's like hitting the lottery twice. It's incredible.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. I do feel like, there's been some shit thrown at me and I've gone through some up and downs for sure. But I do feel that, the funny thing is, it was always in the back of my mind. It was always there. I just either couldn't hear it clearly enough or see it, or I just wasn't ready. I don't know. But
that's probably it. You probably just weren't ready for it yet.
I probably wasn't. Yeah, exactly. But now, I've been through my 30s. I'm on the cusp of 40. They say 40s are your best years. A lot of women say that. And I just feel that it's a time now where I can really take the time to invest in myself, and in doing that, help others. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. It is. It's just an incredible feeling for sure.
Yeah.
With all of again, with all that's going on in the world, and we've touched on this briefly about how mental health is hugely important. I mean, it always has been, but even more so now with everything that's going on and how many more people are suffering from this. The awareness about it. I mean, I personally don't think it's anywhere near where it should be yet. It doesn't get talked about enough. And honestly, in my opinion, it still gets swept under the rug or ignored. It's like it's still a dirty little secret. Would you agree with that? And why do you think that is, in your opinion? If you do agree.
I do agree with you. But I also think we are getting better. But yes, there's still a huge stigma that comes with it. And the stigma, especially in the workplace, it can cause discrimination.
Yes.
So there's things like this still going on. So, an example is when I worked for a large organization, there was a lady who went off on stress leave. And someone told me, well, her career's over. She's never going to get promoted. Yeah. And that's terrible. Like that's terrible. She could have been the most brilliant person, but she was going through some mental health challenges, and then that's it. Her career's done. So there's a stigma that's still attached to it. You're right. But I have to say, when I hear my stepkids talk, they use words that I never knew at, ages 11 and 14. And I think change happens slowly, and we're talking about a big cultural shift.
Yeah.
This isn't going to change overnight, but when I talked to my mom, who's a different generation, and I talked to her about mental health when she was growing up, it was very shameful to go to a therapist.
Yeah, it never got talked about, and never. No, absolutely. It was just unspeakable.
And think about how many, men at the time, not even men, but, would turn to the bottle because they're trying to cope with everything they're going through. And so, yes, it was shameful for sure. And so, we're still trying to shake off that word shame when it comes to mental health struggles. But considering the statistics I gave you before regarding Canadians and their mental health struggles, I think for a lot of people, hearing me and others talk openly will hopefully feel like a bit of a relief and hopefully pave the way for them to begin to shake off the shame and talk about their struggles.
Yeah, I think it's even more shameful for these big organizations. As you mentioned, I worked for a big organization as well. And again, and they preached people first, a people first culture. It's all bullshit.
Yes, it is.
I knew of a few people who went off on stress leave, and when they came back, they were let go.
Wow.
I have a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who was suffering from anxiety, and his boss knew, and it was spoken openly about, and he would tell him that he needed time, like people were complaining that he would go to a meeting room and be sitting in the meeting room during work hours. And he would tell his boss, I just needed that time to decompress and get out of my head. And
Right.
he ended up getting in a lot of trouble. It went to HR and it went further. And it wasn't looked upon as this guy needs some help. It was more like, yeah, you're wasting time and you're wasting space and you're like, this is ridiculous. And these companies that preach this people first culture are so full of shit.
We should talk offline because it sounds like we worked for the same company.
Oh, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe we will do that.
You're right, though. It is BS.
Yeah, it is. It's horrible. So how do you think that we can start making bigger strides with this and bring more awareness to the problem?
Well, a global pandemic has helped bring more awareness. That's for sure. Yeah. But I think even those who were maybe judgmental about, your friend's anxiety or, Susan's bipolar before or whatever can now demonstrate a little more empathy, hopefully. But I think, something we can all do is commit ourselves at least to trying not to be judgmental about it. And often if you can learn a little bit more about mental illness, for example, learn more about PTSD, anxiety, or even some of the heavy duty ones like schizophrenia, you begin to make them less taboo.
Right.
Knowledge and education is key to this. And I think the education system is an important place to start. My stepdaughter goes to a school where they have a class dedicated to mindfulness.
Okay.
So practicing mindfulness is a beautiful thing. And mindfulness, coupled with things like cognitive behavioral therapy, has shown to significantly help those who are chronically depressed. So some might think mindfulness class is an airy-fairy class and why are the kids doing this? But, the research shows that mindfulness helps us manage stress, helps us with our self-control. These are things I want my kids to learn.
For sure.
These are things that, school-age children will benefit from. So again, it's with the younger generations and the education. I feel we will begin to see that cultural shift.
Well, I think the whole education system, and I can only speak for Canada, is that's a whole other ball of wax. And that could be a few podcast episodes talking about that whole thing, because I think there needs to be a ton of change around the education system in more than just that way of dealing with mental health. But I think there needs to be a lot of change there around a lot of different things. But like I said, that's a whole other episode.
That's, she's at a Montessori. It's called Aurora Montessori. She's not it's not the public school system. That's that's a whole other thing. But but I was really pleased when I found they were, doing this mindfulness class. I thought good for them, really good for them to be doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what makes you feel inspired or like your best self, Courtney?
Well, I think helping others definitely makes me feel inspired. That continues to motivate me and lights the fire within. But my best self, it's a self-care routine that I can't waver from. So, I've learned that consists of a certain amount of hours of sleep at night and walking outside, connecting with friends, connecting with my husband, making sure I can carve out the time in every day without guilt to take care of my mental health and make, overall healthy choices because then I can be my best self.
Okay. What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it?
This is such a huge question. So I'm like, I was pondering this question, pondering it. I'm like, the one thing I've learned in my life, walking, that was definitely important because before, that was just awkward, but, I'm kidding. You're like, okay. Okay, seriously. I think usually the right answer is not the easiest one.
Right.
So whether that's apologizing to someone or having lunch with, my stepkids and their ex and my husband's ex joins, their mom for the better of the kids, like all of these different, these are the right things to do, but they're not always the easiest things to do.
Okay.
And yeah, so these types of decisions, you really have to shelve your ego. And, before in my life, I'd probably make the wrong decisions because it was easier. But I've learned that making the right choice is sometimes harder up front, but actually makes life better in the long run.
Okay. What are you most proud of?
I think probably the life I've created for myself and my family. I'm proud that I've been able to be a stable foundation for my daughter and my husband and parents and whatnot. I was the youngest in my family and the wild child for sure, but I'm proud of the work that I've done on myself, and the way I've grown up and, the purpose, the life with purpose that I'm living.
Awesome. What's the first thing you notice about a person?
I think when I was younger, I probably would have said something physically about them, but now I feel that when I meet someone new, I learn actually more about myself. I learn more about myself. So for example, if I meet someone who is a highfalutin lawyer or CEO of a large corporation or anybody, I try to notice how I'm feeling. So partly it's important information or perhaps, something I could work on. So if I'm feeling insecure, well, is that because I don't feel accomplished? Or if I meet a beautiful person and I begin to feel intimidated, is that because I'm holding on to some of that old beliefs that, beauty equals worth and things like that? So, I mean, the good news is that nowadays people in high positions fascinate me. People like you, Brad, who are passionate about making a difference, inspire and motivate me.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered.
Yeah, 100%. Really. And beautiful people are a pleasure to be around. So, that's important information because it tells me that I'm moving in the right direction.
Well, I think when we surround ourselves with people that are inspirational, that just lifts us up as well. And what you're doing is incredibly inspirational to me as well. I mean, you're on your mission and your cause to help people deal with mental health. I think that's amazing. You've gone back to school. You've gone as far as going back to school to get your master's to do it. I think that's incredibly inspirational. So you should be very proud of what you're doing and very proud of yourself.
Thank you. I do. I actually do feel quite proud of myself. And,
good.
It's a great
We have
feeling.
to celebrate these little successes and these little things that we accomplish in life. It's important.
Yeah.
And not that the master's is little. That's not what I'm saying. But we have to celebrate these successes. It's very important to do that along the way because I think sometimes we just get so caught up in life that we forget to appreciate and celebrate the little things that we accomplish and we do in our lives.
And it's the little things that lead us to the big thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is your personal motto?
I would say my motto is I can do hard things.
Okay.
Yeah, because often I've maybe felt a little intimidated or maybe that I'm not good enough or strong enough. But through the process of, everything I've been going through, I know I can do hard things. So that's my motto.
What is one of your favorite quotes?
It's actually by a man named Viktor Frankl, who wrote A Man's Search for Meaning. Fascinating book. If you ever get the chance to read it, it will really help you, especially get through these crazy times, these pandemic times.
I'll look into that.
Yeah. So Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So basically, the person is free to choose how they will behave to any given circumstance. So yes, with the pandemic, I could have picked up the wine or the bottle, or I could have decided to start a master's, right? Those are two completely choices that I could have done. And yes, this lockdown, it's an extremely challenging stimulus, but how we respond is completely up to us.
For sure.
And when we can no longer change the situation, we're forced to change ourselves. And another hint from Viktor Frankl, who, by the way, survived a Nazi concentration camp.
Wow.
Okay, so talk about terrible circumstances.
Yeah.
he says, don't look and wallow in the past. Look to the future and look to things you want to do and accomplish in the future, because that's where you will find hope.
Amazingly
and that's what
wise
kept him
words.
going. Aren't they?
For sure.
So inspirational.
How do you define success? What does that word mean to you, Courtney?
Well, I might have a bit of a different answer than some of your other guests, who are all brilliant in their own right. And I love all of your podcasts, but and the women, they're fantastic.
They are. They're so inspirational. Every single one of these women that have been on here, I personally pull inspiration from every single one of their stories. It's so amazing.
You must learn so much.
I do. It's incredible.
You could write a book.
Yeah.
But my answer to the question is, how I define success is pursue your purpose in life, go after your meaning, and success as well as happiness will ensue. So success is a side effect of following your purpose.
I love that. That's great. But see, again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So many people in this world never find their purpose or never try to find their purpose. Maybe they're stuck in that funk or whatever the case may be, that they just don't find their purpose. And I think that's horribly sad that more people don't find their purpose or their mission in life.
Yeah. And I would say to those people, the ones who are feeling lost, it doesn't have to be like, it takes time, and it doesn't have to be a huge, enormous thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe your garden for the weekend is your purpose, or tending to that, and you feel a sense of accomplishment and success with that. Like, sometimes we don't have to make it this massive thing, sometimes people dealing with depression, for example, it's getting up and going for a walk, like that's, and then they feel a sense of success and motivation with that. So, I mean, this could be a whole other podcast too that we could talk about. Yeah. But yeah.
You're right, though. It does take time to find your purpose. 100. It took me years to find it, and I didn't find it until this past year. But when you do find it, when you do find it, it's like we talked about with you and yours, and how it's twice the accomplishment, or twice as amazing when coupled with finding your purpose, that you're giving back and you're having an impact on other people. Yeah. As a result of your purpose. There is nothing better in the world. I can honestly, with every fiber of my being, say and agree with that. It's just the most incredible thing ever.
I know. It's so good.
Can you share a situation that's occurred in your life that you feel provides insight as to your character, who Courtney is?
Yes. So this will go back to when I was auditioning for the agents and casting directors at the end of my university career there. So, like I said, we attended this grad showcase, but the day before we attended a panel discussion. And on that panel was a man named Ron Berry, who was one of the top agents at the Characters Agency. Mm-hmm. And I listened to him speak, and part of his message was that although agents and managers and all of that can help move your career along, ultimately it's your career. And that got the fire going inside of my stomach. So after that discussion, I marched up to Ron and introduced myself and asked if he'd be at the auditions the next day. And he said he would. And so we did our thing. And when I got back home after the auditions in the city a couple of days later, I got a call from Ron, who said he wanted me on his roster. And part of me couldn't believe it, and part of me wasn't surprised. So it was a very strange kind of feeling. But he told me he really loved my go-getter type of attitude. And so for the most part, I ask for what I want. And I think I might have even asked Sharon Lowson Brand when I was 6 if I could be on their show. Like, how are they going to say no to a 6-year-old? I knew how to work the system. So I've just really learned that you have to make shit happen. Like, you have to do, you've got to create your own opportunities, right?
Yeah,
and not be afraid for people to say no, because you're no worse off than you are today. So, and I don't usually take no for the first time.
You can't just sit back and wait for the opportunities to come to you, because it's not going to happen. I mean, yes, sometimes things fall into your lap, but you have to go out there and make your own opportunities for sure. No one's going to do it for you. And that's one thing that I think we need to teach our children from a very young age, is that you can do anything in life. You absolutely 100% can, but you have to put in the work. No one else is going to do it for you. You can't depend on anyone else, because when all's said and done, you only have yourself to depend on.
Yes, exactly. You're so right with that. And, yeah, you got to make it happen. And even some of the most successful people that I've met, you'd think, oh, well, like the opportunities just must be falling in their lap. But the truth is that there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of amazing people out there. And, you have to keep building and keep growing and keep, being innovative and create these opportunities. So yeah, but you got to go out and make it happen, and you have to ask for things. Definitely.
Well, there's a lot of competition out there, but I personally, and this is something that I've learned in the past, I would say year and a half, with my business, I was in that mindset of struggling with competition. And when I first decided that I was going to jump ship from the corporate world and enter into entrepreneurship as a photographer, a lot of people would say to me, there's so many photographers out there. And, I fell into that mindset. I fell into, what, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And I started second guessing what I'm doing. And it wasn't until about a year and a half in, I'm now going on my 4th year. So about a year and a half into my journey, it's like, you know what? Fuck that. The only person I'm in competition with is me. I can't get caught up in that, because if you do, it's a whole other dark, deep rabbit hole you're going to end up going down. And then we get into self-limiting beliefs and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to get into the mindset that, you know what? No, that I'm not in competition with anyone. Yes, of course I look at other photographers' work for inspiration, but I don't care what other photographers are doing, because they're not me. No one has the eye that I do. Nobody provides the customer experience that I do. No one else is me. So the only competition I have is me. And I think that once people get into that mindset, your world will open up and change. I noticed that when I finally got out of that self-limiting mindset with that regards to competition, my business changed. I started to see more interest. I was getting more inquiries for shoots, and it just completely changed when I changed my mindset.
See, there you go. You change your mindset and the world opens up.
It is.
Right?
It is so key. And I just wish that more people would realize that, because your potential, everyone's potential is fucking limitless. You can do anything you want in this world.
Yes. Yes.
100%. What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
I think probably what other people think of me is none of my business.
Yes, I love that.
I like that one.
Absolutely, me too. That's a great one.
I have found that helpful, because, in the past, it would bother me if people didn't like me, or I perceived them not to like me. Maybe they didn't even not like me, but, there's always somebody out there who's not going to like you for whatever reason, but it's usually because of their own insecurities. It usually has nothing to do with me. So yes, I've gotten a lot better at not taking things personally and being able to just, say, well, it's none of my business. What's it to me if you don't?
Good for you.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
So my answer to this question goes back to my favorite quote from Viktor Frankl that we were talking about. And it's along the same lines. And that is, no matter what the circumstances, we always have the freedom to choose our attitude and response. And this is in everyday life. This type of thinking really takes away any idea that we are a helpless victim in this world. No longer are we the damsel in distress, but the queen of our own story. So empowerment to me means being the author of my own story. And I wish more women felt empowered enough to be the author of their own story. And this is something I'll really try to instill in my daughter, that nobody has power over you unless you give it to them.
Very
true. I go back to thinking about what you told me about your mom, how she was in a situation that she wasn't happy with, and she picked you guys up in her bags and out she went, right?
Yeah.
She was going to be the author of her own story. She wasn't going to let that current story be hers. So
that's right.
Yeah.
I love that definition. I think that's such an incredible definition, Courtney. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Well, it's through all of the reading and the studying and all of the amazing, psychotherapists that I've been learning from. It's just a collaboration of all of that.
Well,
yeah.
I love it. If you could sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with anyone in the world, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I think it would be my mother's mother. So my grandmother, because
Okay.
she passed away the year I was born, and I never got to meet her. But I've always felt a bit of a strange connection to her. So although probably an hour wouldn't be long enough, I'd love to meet her and get a sense of who she is. And in doing that, I feel I'd get a little bit more of an understanding of my family history.
Okay. We're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire thing here. So I've got a few questions for you. 1, 2, 3, 4-word answer type thing.
Okay, I'll try my best.
What's your favorite stress reducing activity?
Okay, I have 2: singing and horseback riding.
Okay. What's one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
So I know this is okay. I want my dog Kiwi back because she passed away in October, and I had her for 14 and a half years. Yeah, she was my first baby. So anyone who owns a pet knows that what they do for us, and so her absence just left a big hole. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
My doggy.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
Confetti. Poof. Everywhere.
That's great. I love that. I have never heard that answer before. That's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Money or fame?
I suppose money, because you can do a lot of great things with it.
Okay. If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Warning, may spontaneously burst out in song or dance.
Entrepreneur life is?
Scary at first, but the only way after.
If I had an extra hour a day, I would?
I'd like to say something constructive. But probably just Google random shit.
Hey, that's all right.
That's honest.
Sometimes you need that hour to yourself to just do mindless things, right?
Yes.
My favorite way to unwind is?
I love getting outside and walking, and also reading in a nice bath.
Okay. The last book or podcast I listened to or read was?
The last book was fascinating, called Redemptive Trauma, and it's by a man named David Giffen. And it's a fascinating story of a priest who struggled with addiction and how he turned his life around. So super cool. And the podcast, other than yours, because I have listened to many of those,
well, thank you.
is actually my husband's podcast called Corporate Wayfinding.
Very cool.
Yes, very good.
If you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
Honey, those boobs are going to sag, so you better read something.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that one. All right.
I'm full of surprises.
And that concludes our rapid fire section. Courtney, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just.
I was going to say, what's the most recent investment you've made in yourself?
I mean, definitely going back to school.
Yeah.
Money and time. It's a big investment, but it's definitely the best one I've done in a long time.
Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Probably to be kinder to yourself, and just remind her that nobody has it completely together, and that everyone is a little bit broken.
Okay. Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like?
Okay, so is this because the world's about to explode, or am I going to die, or what's the deal?
You just want to go out. You just want to go out on a high note. What wisdom would you impart onto the world?
Okay, because I thought it was maybe because the world was going to explode, and I would just be chewing, like you just hear chewing, because I'd be eating all the food.
No. No, the world's not going to explode. I just want you to impart some wisdom.
Have a sense of humor with it all, because laughter is a great medicine.
Beautiful. simple, to the point.
Yep.
Courtney, thank you so very much for taking the time to be here today and share your story and your journey. It's so inspirational. Like I said, I'm so impressed with you taking the steps to go back and add to your advocacy for mental health by furthering your education so that you can help other people. That's just so selfless and so incredible. It's incredibly admirable and so inspirational. So I thank you so much for taking the time to be here and talk about that and your story. And thank you for being part of the Empowerography community.
I'm so honored to be part of it and be part of this amazing group of women. Thank you, Brad, for giving me the platform. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography Podcast. My guest today has been Courtney Gedeon. She is a mental health advocate and the founder of Real Housewife of York Region. Thanks, Courtney. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.